All right, we're talking to Lil Eazy, Eric Wright Jr., son of famous rapper Eazy E.
Yes,
How are you today?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. How about you, brother?
I'm great. I'm great.
Right.
All right, so let's start off a little bit with, first of all, let's talk a little bit about your childhood.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely.
How many, explain how many, obviously you're the oldest son of Eazy E.
Oh, yes, yes.
How many brothers and sisters?
Well, by my father, it's 11 of us. I know individuals might have, some times where, they go back and see history and say, hey, well, Eazy had this many kids when he passed away. But, of course, a lot of, as far as my sister Remarkable, have been discovered after he passed away. So it's 11 of us there, but I'm the oldest of 13 altogether as far as my brothers and sisters.
Okay. How many of you guys really lived together at one point?
Yeah, that's the core. We always say we're the Fab Five. So it's 5 of us who live together, as far as in the core. And not to say live together, but grew up with our father. Of course, a lot of us grew up in different areas, but when he came to pick us up, it was that core 5, So it was me, my sister Sharan, which is the first girl, Erica, Derek, Aaron, and, we kind of so forth and go on from there.
All right. So obviously you had 11 brothers. How many, I guess, different mothers were out of those 11? We know Eazy was a ladies' man, but how many?
Very much. There's no shyness to that. So I'm sorry for the fans because it's gonna take me a minute. I got kids myself. Got to figure out their mom.
Do you have your dad's record yet?
No. Not that much. But you got to think about that. So we're gonna go down the line and saying, okay, it's me and Erica. We have the same mom. Sharan's mom, Lisa, Joyce. These are the mothers that I grew up with and respect and look at as my stepmothers and love to the utmost. Joyce and Lisa. You have Aaron's mom, Tracy. You have my stepmother, Tamika. And then you have Raven's mom, Henri's mom, Marquise's mom. And then you have my brother Eric's mom. So, looking at about 8, 9 women.
Oh, Dad wasn't playing.
Let me go back to that. My mom, Joyce, Lisa, Tamika, Tracy. Yes. Yeah, 9.
So obviously you were born before your father really made it.
Very much.
And your sister that was also with the same mother, she clearly in the same boat?
And as well as Sharan. Yeah, Sharan's the oldest girl. So, my mom, there's a child in between my mom's 2 children. So, to keep it real for the record, that a lot of people might not know of. Sharan's the oldest daughter. Then my sister Erica.
So tell me, before Dad was famous, before Eazy made it big, do you have a lot of memories of that?
Before he made it big?
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of fond memories that are dipped in. I would have to take to my mom or my grandmother to ask, like, hey, what was going on at this time? Because I remember this before big. Because before big, it was just daddy.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
He was daddy, but he wasn't a daddy that was a 9-to-5 guy where he had to come from the factory. That's why I was wondering, at what time did he say, Daddy, come take me outside and play football, or Daddy, take me outside and do this?
Good question. It didn't get to that point. I've been with my grandparents since I was 2 years old. So that's his mother and father. So ever since 2 years old, all the memories that stick to it, I relate to my grandmother. Like, hey, at this time this was going on, it probably was not going on when he was famous. You feel me? And then when when he got famous, it's just like he was on a move. He was not a 9-to-5 father. So you look at myself and say, hey, why was he with your grandparents at 2 and his oldest child? Nobody else was born. You know what I'm saying? So it was that way because of the fact of my father, was a hustler. You feel me? He was, he's still young. You feel me? I think he was 20 years old having me. So he was still running around doing something. My mom was a teenager. They've been together since they was teenagers. So I was always with his mother and father, and a lot of the fond memories possibly will be beforehand of coming into entertainment, and then a lot afterwards as well. Because now it's like, wow, these people following us, or wow, these people looking at you like that, Daddy. You're famous. We didn't know that, as kids.
What about as you got a little older, teen years? Probably you were younger when he passed anyway. But as you were getting older, and as he was starting to make his way up, was there a change in the household as far as obviously you probably had a certain ritual with Dad. Hey, Dad, let's go outside, let's do this, blah blah blah. And not being famous, a lot of dads would be more apt to do that.
Yeah.
But now his schedule's getting full. He's starting to do the grind to make to make it.
Exactly.
How was the effect on you and your family?
It was different on us as the children because we started noticing something was different and going on. You know what I mean? As we go to Disneyland, it's like we have a crowd. You know what I mean? We go to the mall, it's individuals following us. We have these bodyguards around. You know what I mean? It's more of them around when we go out, and about. And as time goes on, when he comes home to grandma's house and we have Christmas or Thanksgiving, there's even more bodyguards. So we started understanding that, what I mean?
So he did have bodyguards around all the time?
Yeah. I mean, as far as to say, not to say all the time, but majority of the time, yeah. You know what I mean? The majority of the time, the bodyguards are part of the family.
Oh.
The twins, Jake and John, Big Ron, you know what I'm saying? What's it called? Rest in peace, you know what I mean? One of our bodyguards passed away, Big Man, and he was a real close family friend, you feel what I mean? So, he passed away years ago. So those are just a few of the names of the bodyguards that was around. Animal, not to forget you, Big Dog, you feel what I'm saying? That are still alive. So between Ron, Jake, and John, the twins, and Animal, they're still alive. Big Man's resting. So they became part of the family. They became family. They know that, you know what I mean? They're like uncles.
So did, you said that you guys went to the parks with bodyguards and so forth. Was there ever a point where you felt any kind of threatened where we might need these bodyguards when your dad wasn't around? Because people obviously would probably know, hey.
No. Being in Compton, California, my grandma was like the queen, you know what I mean? So she still stays there, up until after my father's passing. We still live there, you feel what I mean? So we never had a problem in our city, you know what I mean? When we say he's the king of Compton and she's, the queen, birthing the king, that was how it was. She always felt protected in our city. It was never a problem like that. I'm going to give you a slight story that a lot of people are familiar with when they go back to the Straight Outta Compton movie when he had an issue with Suge. I remember that night. You know what I mean? I'm going to share that with you guys. That night.
Hold on, you remember that night?
Yeah, I do.
The night that the famous night to where he tried to get Dre's.
He was set up to go meet and talk and discuss about the dealings with Dr. Dre, with Suge, Dr. Dre itself and Suge. And when he gets there, it's just more so, Suge and his entourage, and Dre wasn't there. And everybody's familiar with that part in the movie. So when you speak on, was there ever a time where the bodyguards was around, my dad wasn't around, that made us feel like something's going on? That night was that night that exactly I felt that.
Oh, wait a minute. You're saying the bodyguards weren't with your father, they were with you.
The bodyguards showed up to the house, to my
grandmother's
house. So when they showed up to my grandmother's house and asked us, was everything okay? We knew something was wrong. Why? Because I don't see my father. You feel what I'm saying? I see you guys. I only see you guys with my daddy, and I see you guys without my daddy. So that insinuated when that movie is played, it takes me back to a personal memory that I have when they must be playing at night when the bodyguard showed up late at night and asked us, was everything okay? And I came to the door knowing that I see the bodyguards because it's late. So where's my daddy? And he's not there. So, as I got older, come to find out that was that night.
Well, clearly then your father sent him there for a reason.
He sent him there to make sure.
So he knew something was going on.
Yeah, because in the realness of the story was that if he didn't sign this piece of paper, they, made references of, Greenleaf and Muriel, where your mama stay. So, you know what I mean? Which, of course, it's my neighborhood, so nothing's going to happen, period. You feel me? And the fact that, he's just staying on to par on his toes, sent the bodyguards over there to make sure that nobody came by the house to mess with his parents and his son.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of rumors, since we're jumping right to Suge, there was some rumors that when they had your father, wherever it was, like we've heard mixed things, where it was at a hotel, where it was at a studio, where it was wherever it may be. Mm-hmm. They've made rumors to where he actually was signing Mickey Mouse's name.
Very true.
Is it true?
Very true. That's
they kept doing it, and he kept signing other people's names, and he never signed his own name.
Mickey Mouse was the last thing he signed. It was the only thing he signed. Yep, Mickey Mouse.
Oh, so that's a true story. Uh-huh. Who told you that?
My stepmother told me that. Bodyguards told me that. Close friends of my father's told me that.
So then they really never ever got the signature. Hence why, your dad.
That's why Dre Days was always
Eazy's payday, correct? Wow.
I mean, to just be honest with you, that's why the whole the RICO Act came into play. You feel what I'm saying? You know, just wrongdoing. You can't say if it's not my signature on there, and I have a lifetime contract on him, which he did. So
let's get a little bit more into that. You were talking about how you had the bodyguards at the house and you knew something was going on. Obviously, your father was smart enough to send out that defense before it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time I've kind of heard this story, so that's really amazing that your dad had such courage to say, look, I'm going there with a possibility I might not come back. Let me take care of my family.
Very much.
I mean, that's a big set of balls, if it,
Yeah. Very much. I mean, Pop was the little big man. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing that he feared. And that was one thing as far as in his children that we kind of stood on, is like, our father can do anything. So the detriment of losing him was turmoil to us. But yeah, he definitely did. Even the fact of kind of being told that it was going to be a business meeting and Dre was, going to be in hand as well, and it was something that we can sit down and talk about. You know what I mean? It kind of got bamboozled. You know what I mean? So,
have you ever met Suge Knight?
Very much, yes.
So obviously more than once.
Yes, very much.
As friends or after the fact that your father passed?
Very much after the fact that my father passed.
So then he's not friends.
After the fact, Suge and me met as I became an older man, and when I was younger, it wasn't friendship. And as I got older, our last meeting before he actually got incarcerated was more so of, just kind of more mutual, just men, businessmen talking, you know what I mean? And I was open to the, things that he had to say at the time. I didn't have no ill will feelings to do anything to him. You know what I mean? By that time, I lived my life as far as in the streets, and I don't have no fear of no man, or don't feel like any man could,
Well, there was a period of time where a lot of people, rumor, I wasn't there obviously, but rumor said that everybody was leaving town or afraid of Suge Knight because Suge Knight start building the death row empire, and Suge Knight put a lot of fear into a lot of rappers in the game. Obviously, somewhere along the line, he gained a lot of power and to build Death Row Records when he actually started out as a bodyguard for even N.W.A.
Yes, bodyguard for DOC. Yes, he definitely did. Working for us, bodyguard DOC. And he definitely built that intimidation, over the course of time, you know what I mean? And then when he gets into power to have control of a label, that intimidation and money would only drive it to be bigger, more egotistical. So yeah, he just used his weight and his size and intimidated all kind of individuals and kind of made his bones in the industry.
Do you know why that people maybe were so afraid of Suge? I mean,
I'm gonna kick it to you real. Yeah, we from Compton. You feel what I'm saying? Let's just lay it down like that. Just the man I am now is just.
Well, yeah, but so was your father. Yeah, so was you, and so was a lot of these rappers.
And reason why you seen one incident of a situation with him and my father. You feel what I'm saying? And then everything else was not spoke on. You feel what I'm saying? The disrespect came as far as when my father was laid to rest. But you ask yourself, what disrespect was repeatedly said or done in the nature when my father was alive? Gonna get quiet, okay. But back to what I was saying, as far as in the man I am, we're from Compton, so individuals from Compton have a certain stigma to them, where we feel like any city outside of Compton, we kind of can roll over on, can kind of take advantage on, and that's basically what Suge did. He used his aggression and the rep of his city, you feel what I'm saying, to kind of push, and his size, of course, to push that, and the fact that he had money, and the fact that he had record labels, and the Jimmy Iovine's behind him, who kind of are the heads of this entertainment world back then. You kind of got that overall push to want to be aggressive to everybody and make that reputation.
So obviously, I know you've heard, as everybody around has always heard, there's two different sides to the passing of Eazy E. Mm-hmm. One is, hey, he was a ladies' man, and finally it caught up to him, and it made a game something. And then the other is being with Suge Knight, who could have possibly he made a joke on a night talk show, Jimmy Kimmel. Yep. And saying that he injected him with AIDS blood. What is your take on either way?
My take on that is the game of chess. In that situation, if we're going to think that something was done to my father, Suge would only been a pawn in that situation. So I wouldn't take it as, oh, Suge did that. Nah, Suge's a pawn in that situation. Any real person in the world will sit here and understand what I'm saying in that aspect. So it gets deeper to, oh, Suge. Nah, if Suge had that much power to sit here and do that, you feel what I'm saying, or even the access to do that, it has to become with somebody bigger than a Suge. You feel what I'm saying? So if we're going to speak that my father was, something was done to him in that aspect, nah, I wouldn't still lie on Suge. Suge's not, doesn't have that much power.
So you don't believe that that's the case at all, then?
Nah, not with him. Nah,
because I was going to add, my next question would have been, well, then, was there ever any type of investigation, possibly, after making that comment? Did anybody ever open an investigation like, oh, this might be murder?
Should have been a good investigation. Good question. Should have good scenario. Should have been investigation. You know, that me saying that only lies to understand of where I feel as far as my father. So only God knows really as far as what actually really happened. But you know, what I mean, overall, that's how I grew up to not think that. No, it was not the fact of you know, the promiscuousness of him and women. You feel what I'm saying? I have a sister. She is 26 years old. You know what I mean? She'll be, I want to say, 26 this year. You feel what I'm saying? And you think of it, look at it, that would be the first victim that you would think will have any kind of contact or you know what I mean, kind of effect to him having AIDS, right? You know what I mean? This is the child he had after he passed away. That doesn't come up. Everybody's safe. Everybody's fine. All the children were tested and we were all fine. His parents, his wife at that time, my stepmother, Tamika, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's kind of crazy if that happens. So that's what always stuck in our head.
Is there any of your family members or brothers and sisters? I mean, we're talking, you know, a big family here.
Yeah,
I mean,
very big family.
Is there anybody that maybe thinks that scenario with Suge is possible?
No, I mean, yeah, you answering me that question, definitely. You definitely have some family members who feel that was put out. And you know, a lot of, you know, the fans that are watching now have known and can go back and see that a lot of, you know, siblings of mine probably commented on that and felt that way. But, you know, speaking to me, myself, you know, he's a pawn in that situation for that. So I can't even see him, that even being nowhere near real or truthful. But does some of my siblings took that and ran with it? Yeah, they definitely did. So
you have the movie Straight Outta Compton. Obviously, you've seen that.
Yeah.
Very good movie. Suge is portrayed in that movie as, you know, like we just discussed, how he supposedly beat your father up and so forth, and got the contract thing handled, or tried to get it handled. It didn't even get handled.
So I mean, for the world knows it didn't get handled. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it didn't get handled even in the movie, because remember, they had to make a deal to where Dre Day is Eazy's payday.
There you go.
So that's when Suge finally did something that actually put him away. It was during the filming of that movie where he ran over a man, a friend of his.
Terry Carter, friend of mine.
Yeah, and killed him. Were you ever on set during any of that?
Not that time. I was actually incarcerated myself at that time when that happened. But I had a conversation with Suge before that, just right before that time happened. And then I got locked up in previous time.
Oh, so you have had conversations with him?
I had conversations with him right around that exact time that happened.
Oh, wow.
Maybe less than a month or so before that time. And he actually reached out to me and asked me, well, not asked me, was telling me, you know, what he was going to go do, how he's been, you know, reaching out, trying to get things, you know, squared away because they're using his character in a movie. So, you know, he felt some type of way about it and wanted to get compensated for it. So, which rightfully he has every right to do.
Is that what made him angry?
It made him angry because he just probably tried to go about things his way and his old school ways of doing things. And if he would have written about it in just a normal way of life nowadays, he has to be compensated for the rights of himself and played in that movie, which he was going to be.
So the anger that caused him to storm out of there and run over your friend, and it was actually, didn't they say it was his friend too?
His homeboy. It's his generation, his homeboy.
So was that an argument over money, or was that an argument over something totally different?
You know, it was...
I mean, I know you weren't there, so you probably don't have that answer.
But just you know,
but there's rumors.
Give you a little touch up on the rumors. He had no intentions whatsoever to do anything wrong to his friend. His friend was there more so just to be overseer of a situation they were trying to get squared away at hand of what it is Suge was doing there, what it is his obligations of that he wanted, or things that he wanted to say or see go on, and the fact that they're in, you know, one of his closest neighborhoods on West Side of Compton, and you know, to keep it real with you guys, in West Side Piru, which is, you know, a lot of close friends of his are from, you know, the Piru gang, which is in Compton, California. And they were in a neutral area of his. So he wanted to sit here and go check some temperatures of individuals that was around. And something happened in that altercation. And his friend was just happened to be behind a car and jumped out as Suge was trying to really more so defend himself. I'm going to keep it 100. You feel what I'm saying? You don't want to sit here and put anything on no man. I don't know as far as into myself being there, but with the certified sources that I have, he was just really trying to get himself out of the situation that was kind of get out of hand, and his friend happened to be behind the car.
So you say you were incarcerated at that moment in time. Can we talk about that for a quick second?
Yeah, we definitely can.
Okay, so you were incarcerated at the time when that happened.
That exactly happened, yes.
Clearly, Suge's coming into jail. I don't know if he meant
much happened. Yes.
By any chance, did you guys ever cross paths?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Tell me a little bit about that.
It was quick and brief. When Suge goes in, Suge's considered high power. I will be when I first got in, but I'm at this time, I'm doing a couple of months, so I get D-class because of my name. You get high powered and you go into, well, you know what I mean?
Like a solitaire?
Yep, very much, very much. It's not to say that you're asking for it. It's just the fact of that's just how times is nowadays.
Everybody they know that somebody's going to try to try you.
Very much. You know that you have a high profile name. They're going to put you over there regardless if you want to be there or not. Then you go to a process called D-class, which is all the heads of those departments of Wayside, LA County, you know what I'm saying, Twin Towers. They come together and they sit here and they go to what basically is a board and decides, do you fear for your life not to be in general population? Which what I went through. So no, I don't fear for my life. I feel I'm okay. Matter of fact, they remember since I was a youth, so they already just qualified me to go to general population.
Well, I was going to ask you this too. So when you first went to prison, before we get to the Suge part, because I'm really wanting to hear that. So before we get to the Suge part, when you first go into prison, is it known that you're son of Eazy E? And so are you a hero? Are you a celebrity? Are you someone that somebody wants to try because you got a name? I mean, what was it? And I know I'm not telling you to glorify the thing like, oh my God, I was like the Hilton here.
Yeah.
But no, but I mean, how was it?
It was stressful because you're a man who does not live to want to be that. But actually, to keep it 100 to you, and all the individuals that they know looked out for me and took care of me and made the transition out of just natural respect for my father's legacy. You know, some from me and what I laid down, but I'm gonna just be honest and be a real man. My father's legacy paved the way for some things that happened when I was locked up in jail that don't happen to the average individual, and that's just the love and respect that people have. Even a lot of people know in California we have a lot of black and brown problems when you go to the jail systems. You know what I mean? Hispanics took care of me in there. You feel what I'm saying? Looked out for me, made sure everything was all right, which is, you know what I'm saying, a thin line of the guidelines that goes on. Everybody knows that, just being from, West Coast. And his respect showed me, a different side of things while I was locked up in jail. So it was different. You know what I mean? They respected me. You thought at a time that individuals want to try you, and individuals that did try to try me got checked by their own individuals. I was a MAC rep, so I was second hand to the MAC rep, which is basically you're second hand to the head of the blacks at that time, whatever dorm you're in. So any African Americans, we gonna check it at hand. If it was anything outside of that, the homies checked it, which is the Southsiders, the Serenials checked it. You know what I mean? In the woods, we didn't have no problem. We always kept straight to where it is, and that's just jailhouse talk. But
let me ask you this, not to interrupt you, but. So obviously your father was an icon in Compton and I mean really all over the world.
Yeah, very much.
He brought something new to, the music industry and it's really him that did that. So I would imagine would be a hero inside of possibly there. And then in comes Suge, who technically by then has already built himself up as maybe a hero, but he was on a downslope where maybe he was
in the kind of lost in a wind zone. You know, it's not
Right.
known unless it's like a situation going on, or here you go to Straight Outta Compton movie, are they going to use Suge? So it kind of gave him another little surge to sit here and puff his chest out and feel like, you know, he can walk around his name. To give you respects on what you said, my father was a hero to a lot of individuals in there. You know what I mean? He was basically the individual that raised them. You know what I mean? A lot of individuals will say that themselves. Your father raised me and got me through life, you know, listen to his music. So he definitely was. When Suge comes in, he's in high power. He never gets declassed. He will not get declassed because he's a high profile.
So you think to this day he's still high powered?
Yeah, he definitely still high powered.
Because I've seen videos even like online where somebody has gotten access to do interviews, and he's just like old Suge, got the big cigar, and he's acting like he's having the greatest time of his life in there.
Yeah, I mean,
is that how when you saw him in there? Is that how it seemed?
No,
I mean,
nah. He was about as thin as he's probably littler than you, and you know you're not to say you're a big man. You're in nice shape. He probably didn't have muscles as if to your capacity because he was stressing, diabetic, you know, stressing. So the shit that I seen was, you kind of pitied him. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, oh,
how close did you actually get to him when you were in there?
Closer than me and you are. So what happens is,
was there any point that you were like, I had to just take him out right now and just kick his ass?
When I was younger, not in jail. When I was younger and I was a knucklehead on the street, I felt like that. Individuals know that. I had that feeling when I was young. It still wouldn't do nothing. That was.
Well, you're an angry young guy that lost a father that,
yeah,
you know, so that's understandable.
Was. He might remember hopping in the back seat, fumbling, you know, acting like he gave him the pistol, you know, on a certain side of Compton. You know, that was, you know, me and my homies. You feel what I'm saying? And at the same time, I'll be real with you, I didn't have nothing. You know what I mean? But you know, if I did, who knows what to happen? You feel what I'm saying? But I didn't have, you know, a pistol or any weapon at that time. But it was just, you knew this individual was over here, so pull up and scare the shit out of him and see what happens, and you know his reaction and everything. So I was young and dumb at that time. In jail, no, you know, like I said, you kind of more so had pity for an individual because you knew he was coming in for doing something to a friend that I know that in any mind state he had wouldn't try to harm his friend. And so you see this man and he lost all this weight, you know what I mean? He just looks sucked up, you feel what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like you picking on the weak. You feel what I mean? And at that time, I didn't have no quarrel with him. We had cordial conversations.
So by then, when he's coming in, you've already hashed this out.
Yeah,
you've had the conversation.
Very
Did he ever, at any point in this conversation, say, "Look, Eric, I know I made a sick joke on a nighttime talk show." Did he ever come clean and say, "Hey, that never happened"? Or did he ever say, "Look, I'm sorry for the sick joke"? I mean, what hashes it out? Because I mean,
it's good. And that's a great motherfucking question. That's a great one. And nobody.
You got a father that's passed.
Nobody's ever
suspicion,
asked me that.
and now you got him who's made the joke, and you have a hash out. That's not something that you just forgive.
Nah, it's
something
not.
had to be said.
It's not. And you had that's a great question. And nobody too much really never asked me that. And you hit a point, because why? That's where I was turning to. You know what I mean? It was a point in time to us having maybe one or two conversations. I was turning to asking, like, we cool enough now. We didn't sit here, talked about money and old things, you know, and I won't share too much of the conversations, but it had to do with a lot of money. To where when that kind of came cool and we seen where things were angling, it was going to be that time where I had that conversation like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, here's something I always wanted to get off my chest. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the whole point of you joking about this? So you asking me that is like amazing, because why? That's what I was getting to. And life just ended up not having us in the same situation to talk. Like, I was able to hit a homie and get him in on the phone real quick, or he was getting on the phone. Hey, I talked to F. Gary Gray and he did this, that, and he's wanting them this, or what they want to pay me, or what kind of money I want. You feel what I'm saying?
So did you get the answer that you wanted?
No, like I say, it came to the point in time to where our paths and cross again for that comfortability of that.
So he kind of dodged the bullet, technically.
Yeah, he definitely did. He definitely did. You know what I mean? It was, as people may think, it was something that I should have just came out front and said. I really wanted to know, would you want to sit down with me for our first initial conversation? And then the first initial conversation kind of just blew my mind to the information he was giving me. Now it took me to the point to where, do you feel guilty for giving me this information? Because this information didn't need to be shared to me. And I would have never known about this information if he didn't have the chance to want to tell me. Was it because he was in due for something? He felt guilty in his life. He wanted to renege on the wrong he did. So as time went on for us to figure out this situation with this money, I was going to come around to the fact of, now I want to ask you this question, you know, and we just never got to that point. We crossed paths in jail. He's in high power. I'm feeling pity. I'm in general population, so I'm to walk around. I'm leaving visiting, and he's leaving visiting. But when you're dealing with high power, we have to face the wall and not look at him because he's a high individual. So, you know, I'm in general pop, and I have my hair similar to how my hair now, where most people don't see, you know, where it was coming to the side. And it's not like the natural, just regular cornrows to the back where he understands that, or I have a hat on. So I have hair everywhere. He probably didn't notice who I was. You know what I mean? So him not noticing I was, and the fact that no cop, no CO is going to allow me to talk to a high power while I'm in general pop. I got to turn around and face the wall or get cussed out or possibly lose my situation, my privileges, because I'm looking like I want to do something to a high power. And I just want him to know that it's me. So then another time comes where he has yard. He has yard. I leave the yard before he gets the yard. Basically, it was just kind of like recreation for you to get out of your cell. And I had a homie come tell him Lil E was over there. So he sent his love and tell him like, hey, I say what's happening. And I said, okay, cool. My last dialogue with anything that had to do with Suge. And that was 5-6 years ago in LA County Jail.
All right. So obviously your father, if we sit there and look at this long list of really the people that he's responsible for making it big, Suge being one of them as well.
Yeah,
you know, you got
much.
Ice Cube, you got Dr. Dre, you got Yellow. I mean, the list is really long.
Bone Thugs and Harmony from Cleveland itself, right?
Yeah,
here.
Bone Thug. That's right. So, do you think at any point, Suge Knight, you know, staying on the Suge Knight subject, do you think there was some jealousy or anything type that is what made things go a little south, or do you think it was more about Suge and money?
It's wow, Jay, you got some great questions, and you hit them on the nose, because a lot of the songs and the things and the lyrics that I put on, I had a song called "They Killed You," and the lyrics in the first verse, it was more so, is everybody did money make everybody want be you? You feel what I'm saying? Did money make everybody flip their wig? You know what I mean? Because to me, you was always pop. You know what I mean? And it didn't matter about the dirt you did. You feel what I'm saying? So everybody feels it's like it's dirt because why? You got this little stature of a man, came from Compton, California. Just think of the aspect in life with people. You feel what I'm saying? You have an individual who's short, little. Then you have an individual who's big. I work for this motherfucker. I'm bodyguard for him. Man, he getting over on all these, excuse my language, these niggas. You feel what I'm saying? He getting money off of all these niggas. Like, shit. It's just a normal aspect of life.
That's what probably drove the hunger for him to get the power?
I can do this. You know, let me meet a few big heads. You know what I mean? Let me, talk to a few individuals. DOC, you feel what I'm saying? Get in his mind, know what's going on, and come to fact of fruition that Jerry Harrell got Eric playing all of these individuals for they masters, they publishing, everything. I could do the same thing. Because that's what he did. You feel what I'm saying? That's what Suge did. He separated Dr.
And
Dre.
got some big names along the way.
Very much. Separate, because who can imagine, I'm going to leave this on y'all real quick. Who can imagine Snoop Dogg being on Ruthless Records?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
or Tupac, Dr. Dre. I mean, he rounded up a good talent
Who can
base.
imagine if Snoop Dogg was on Ruthless, which my father respected beforehand, and Snoop definitely respected beforehand. You know what I'm saying? And had a lot of respect. Snoop grew up only knowing and representing the real. You feel what I'm saying? Who was the real in his generation of growing up in music? You know, my father, N.W.A. So go back to Suge, is he takes these individuals, separates, gets in their head, separates DOC and Dr. Dre from my father, the writer and the producer. And what do? Put them in the same situation. So just factually, how can you say that was an individual that's looking as far as in jealousy and saying, hey, I can do this. I can separate them from this man, you know, take them from him doing this with him, and I could create them myself, and let's create our form. And Death Row did what it was supposed to do. Death Row was the Compton Motown. You feel what I'm saying? I cannot knock it. I look at it like, what if you had Ruthless and Death Row? You feel what I'm saying? What if we had everything? What if they were all together?
Well, let's ask that question. Ruthless, Death Row, are either one still alive today?
Rich and Ruthless is. Yeah, I'm still keeping the legacy alive. Ruthless Records itself still is. You know, as far as an artist is what they have now, you know, soon to come you'll see, you know what I mean? But it's more avenues that they stepped out into, TV, film. So Ruthless Records is still definitely going. I have Rich and Ruthless myself, which is out of respect for the legacy of my father. Death Row is bought by a catalog. The catalog is bought, you know, and owned by somebody. You know, what they're doing with it, I don't know. But as far as a record company, it's no longer.
So let's talk a little bit about Straight Outta Compton, the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You seen it?
Of course.
Of course, okay.
We were
okay.
screened to see it before it came out.
Right. So
let me just, I kind of see where this question is going. Let me just say, you asked me. So yes, and it's significant you asked me that question because we were screened to see it as a family before it came out at Universal Studios.
For your okay? For your permission or just to say?
It was not at all for our okay. It was out of respect of us viewing it before the world views it. And we went to the premiere not wanting to see that movie again. I'm going to just leave that on you.
So you haven't seen it again since?
Since the premiere, no.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even want my children to see it.
So, well, actually, before I get into the Straight Outta Compton, actually, that reminds me of a question I wanted to ask you earlier, and we got kind of taken away. Your father, when he's in his heyday and he's singing N.W.A, and he changed the music culture with the type of music that he brought, telling the stories of his neighborhood and so forth like that. Did you, were you guys ever allowed as children to listen to his music or?
Yeah, yes.
Because I mean, like my parents didn't. Can we listen to that music?
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's a nice question.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you a quick story. Yes, we were. Grandma just made sure that
the radio version.
Yes. You know, that was one thing is I love everything my son did. I respect everything. I love my son to death, and I wish I could bring her. You know, she wished she could bring her baby. That's her baby boy back. The only difference is there was less cussing on the albums. You know what I mean? You know, the bitch, shit, suck my dick, all that. Grandma wasn't part of that. Merry motherfucking Christmas? Oh, she didn't like that. You know, and a fucked up New Year, she didn't like that. So, yes, we were able to. It's just we weren't better not be caught saying them words. And she just wished that my daddy gave us, or we were able to sit here and get a total clean version.
So when you were saying your family got together and got to watch the premiere of Straight Outta Compton together, was there at any point when you were sitting there with your family, did anybody in the family, was your grandma there, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. Did anybody at any point during that movie when you're watching it stand up and say, now that's not how the hell this happened. This movie's bullshit. I mean, anything like that occurred during it?
At the end of it. At the end of it, we didn't even say that. We just kind of all quietly walked out crying as a family and kind of like, Because they did give your father a good dedication at the end, the last 30 seconds or something. So that touched us, of course, because it's not even a fact of what they did, respectively what they did. So don't take it wrong. Definitely the family respects, you know what I mean, the whole awareness of the movie, the whole, you know, presentation at the end.
And I'm sure they did have to twist some kind of plots.
Yeah, very
a
much.
little bit for movie, but B, maybe
we walked out.
They didn't want to have a little bit of illegal stuff showing your dad doing some, you know, probably.
Yeah. And which they could have, you know what I mean? But it just opened up old wounds to when we seen it, and the fact that we just wasn't satisfied with the overall presentation of where he's standing and what more that he did for this game, this hip hop industry. You feel what I'm saying? He's a revolutionary. He changed it.
He was a revolutionary. Yeah. And let me ask you this about, speaking of that, so your father started a revolutionary group, N.W.A. You have Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Yella, MC Ren. And then there was the manager, Jerry Heller. Mm-hmm. Clearly in the movie, they portray it where Jerry Heller is the man that single-handedly kind of destroyed one of the greatest groups of all time in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What's your take on that? Did Jerry Heller?
I'm gonna leave something to the fans that sit there and say, if Jerry Heller didn't do what he did, would N.W.A have the exposure they would have with no internet? A lot of people can sit there and say that now with social media and the internet, You know what I mean? And things going on, you know what I mean? Social media and the internet. But
I guess what I'm looking for here on this question, because saying Jerry Heller, they wouldn't have been anywhere without Jerry Heller. That I agree with. Mm-hmm. Okay, but let's be honest. Let's take it a step before that. They wouldn't be anywhere without your father neither. I mean, your father made the record in a garage, takes it to the place that Jerry Heller's working, and Heller finds, this, and so, but along the way, you started with Ice Cube thinking Heller was a little shady, and it worked over to Dre thinking, Dre probably got fed more from Suge because Suge was trying to scoop up talent.
Yeah.
So that might not have been as much as him thinking that himself. However, Ice Cube starts off thinking he's being done wrong and he's blaming Jerry Heller. In the song No Vaseline, he even brings up the fact that, you let a Jew break up my crew. Yeah. So there's clearly more to the story about Jerry Heller than, I'm sure they're not just making that up.
Yeah. There's a lot of story that individuals can sit here and put in their own, perspective of Jerry Heller. And let's just kick it one truth. Let's kick it what we do factually know. There was a lot of money being made, $10 million a month. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Do you think that you cannot have somebody dipping their hands in a cookie jar? You feel what I'm saying? Which is a lot of skimming is going to go off the top of things. Is it right? No. You know what I mean? But I myself as a man can sit here and go and saying, hey, yeah, my father was a revolutionist. He took this group to this individual, and this individual took this group and put them on a stage to where the world could sit here and figure and know about them. You know what I mean? And then at turn comes and maybe have certain guidelines of things that he did. But did Jerry have any hateful ill will towards my father? No. He put my father in the best position to be.
He absolutely shouldn't either. What right does he have to? He made the man a millionaire.
Yeah, very much. Very much. He did. Exactly.
For him to say that would be like really asinine.
Yeah, and he didn't, you know what I mean? But facts is facts.
Have you ever met personally Jerry Heller?
Yeah, very much. Yes, I very much personally
met Jerry since I was young
and since I became a man to have a conversation with him.
What was your take on it? Did he treat you with respect like he would your father and so forth?
Jerry definitely did teach me respect as my father did. We had a conversation where a lot of things got enlightened on things. Maybe the conversation that we talked about earlier that I would want to have with Suge, I had with Jerry, you know what I mean? So that's why when people ask that and they look at it, not to take away from anything that he did wrong by having family members who had a credit card in their name, extra money being sit here and leviated to here and there, you feel what I'm saying? Which is, it's business. You kind of figured some of them skimmings is going to go off the top. You feel what I'm saying? It's like the Italians say, with this skimming bullshit, I don't understand it. Yeah. So a lot of us come to the fact that we don't understand it, even if we were making that much money. But I had that conversation with Jerry to the conversation I wanted to have with Suge, about a lot of things. My father's death, the insinuation that he may had something to do with it. He cleared it up as far as an avenues of why he wouldn't have wanted to have something to do with it.
So you're saying there was actually a suspicion at one time thinking maybe Jerry had something? Because your father clearly later on fires Jerry.
Yeah.
So there could be that is a reasonable.
Let's go down to it. Let's break it down to you real quick like this and share something with you guys. Conversations came back with the only doctor my father ever had was a doctor Jerry introduced him to. This is the doctor that comes up with the diagnosis of this happening. These are individuals that he only has a checkup with and seeing. So when you say suspicion, you go deep into a suspicion of, wow, well, that kind of leaves, I'm a detective. That kind of leaves you an insinuation of a finger being pointed at you, who's a doctor that he's been getting checkups and all of a sudden he has full-blown AIDS. So what about the times that he got checked up before? I know he went there.
Good question.
What? You know what I mean? He has. They didn't catch HIV before he got to full-blown AIDS. You feel what I'm saying? They didn't catch anything, you know what I'm saying? White blood cells being possibly low or anything in that nature. And you come to think of it, who's the doctor that came up with this? A doctor that, the only doctor he had was the one Jerry Heller introduced him to. So the insinuations comes up in all kind of ways. Even not to hold it back, a lot of people that had to be around it. Everybody's not shy to understand. They even thought that about my stepmother. Why? Because she's the one who ends up with the estate. She marries him. He dies, he's in with the state. So I'm not going to sit here and we're just going to be real to get out all the speculations where it's about everybody around. You know what I mean? The thing of what I'm trying to tell you is that Jerry had a conversation with me as my stepmother as anybody else besides Suge, to where I believe that they came to a point to at least give me something that I can sit there and be like, okay, cool. I got that from you. You know, I got that acknowledgement from you. I got your side of the story. I got what you feel, and I got the obligations. And then the thing about Jerry, and I'm going to respectfully say, Jerry didn't leave out the fact that something happened to him. That's what I respect about Jerry. He never left off the fact that I believe, he believes, me and him in that room as we conversated. Just me and him. Gary came later in the day, but me and him itself in Calabasas' house still believed that something happened. It wasn't what it said it was. So for the respect that I got from Jerry is, at least his family is not the only one thinking like this. At least his family is not the one only hypothetically, all the fans, he liked a lot of women and whooped and the other. Jerry understands something funny went on. And then he pointed me in directions of where to go to look for some of the funny stuff. That's why I respect Jerry. That's why, rest in peace, Jerry, I cleared that air with you where I don't have no issue with the Heller family. I don't have no issue with Jerry. You feel what I'm saying? As a man, you gave me enough as a first son and as a son of my father, lost my father, and confusion, some kind of clarity from you, you know, from that person who was around. Because it's a lot of things Jerry knows that my grandma might not know. You know what I'm saying? So as a son, you don't know as far as in that conversation what Jerry did to me. Jerry knows my father beyond a lot of people. He was his manager. He was his right hand. Jerry knows about unknown kids before we knew about them.
So do you think, I mean, let's really put this into a real grasp of a conversation. Do you feel, because just hearing that right now opens up my mind even more, do you think that this is kind of like a Jimmy Hoffa type case? Like, do we know what really happened to Eazy E? I mean,
let me look. Now you're going to me telling people. A lot of fans who know me know that I have a goal and I have a situation of doing a documentary on my father. I know we hear about my sister doing one, investigating the death. I know it's this way. Some people just do things in the ways that is not right. You know what I mean? And as his first son, I do have preview information that I can go to God uncles. I could go to bodyguards. I could go to my stepmother. I can go to Ren. I can go to a Yella. I can go to a Cube. I could go to everybody who was around. I could go to my own blood uncles to give you a story. I could go to my grandmother. You feel what I'm saying? I can go and give you blow by blow of his life, how he was as a father, as an entertainer, as a kid growing up, you know what I'm saying, as his thought process of what he was, and on to the speculations of things that was going on that was wrong. So always this family's always going to sit here and stand on that something happened.
Is there a base of fear though, or not? I shouldn't say fear. Is there a base of either A, you don't want to know, or B, maybe you shouldn't dig so deep because hey, something else might happen?
Let me tell you this world, man. Behind the camera is asking some great questions of some things that a lot of people won't touch on.
And I'm available next week for your documentary. No, just like
let's go ahead and go back to what you said. Yes. I'm going to answer that question. Yes. Same reason why I have problems with my sisters, E.B. and Aaron Wright. Same reason why.
Because she's clearly doing, not to interrupt you, sorry, but she's doing a documentary that she's pretty much putting it out there. Yeah. He was murdered.
Yeah. And even my sister, my full-blooded sister, Erica Wright, that we have grown to understand, and she's grown to understand of where I stand with that. And I'm going to quote what I said to them at a point in time is, I don't think you guys are ready for opening that book or turning over that leaf. I'm going to always stand on as his son to knowing something happened to my father. You feel what I'm saying? When I was younger, it was more speculation as far as did I want to push that issue because of what it could bring. You know what I mean? And then the turmoil and the hurt that I know that it brought to my sisters so much that I didn't stand behind them to sit here and go and find out. Because why? I just didn't want to open Pandora's box to that because, just leaving it there. But I used to tell them at the same time, we find out who did this. We find out the individual that had something to do with it. You know what I mean? Where do we stand now? Are we opening a box to a powerful person? Because that person had to be powerful to sit here and do this type of stuff of what they did. And then you get to the point to understanding that I'm just going to live off of faith and not fear. You feel what I'm saying? And when I live off of faith and not fear, I want to sit here and protect my sisters to something that they're still hurt on and not knowing what happened to their father. So if we want to sit here and turn over that leaf, then hey, I got to a point in my time where I'm going to turn over that leaf for you. You feel what I'm saying? And we're going to.
And it probably should be more up to you than them anyway, because you were the oldest. You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of an unseen for tradition where dad passes it down to son. Yeah. So wow.
Yeah. But and it's crazy you said that, because that was what was haunting me for some time before I even took the decision to want to do a documentary. Took the decision for even have this conversation, because in my mind I know. It's just, hey, when I find out who it is how I'm going to feel then. I became to a man to where I understand a lot of things is not going to do nothing to bring my daddy back. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of hurt individual kids that are grown-ups now and have kids, and our kids to want to know, hey, something happened to him, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't what the media and the world wants to put it on. It's the easiest thing. I'm going to just leave this to you. It's the easiest thing to sit there and say about something. Oh, he smokes a lot. Oh, cancer. Oh, he drinks a lot. Oh, liver, this, then the other. Oh, he has sex a lot. Oh, AIDS. That's my cliche. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, dad is gone. Eazy. How's the family nowadays? Do you guys all get along, or you just? I mean, obviously, it's been some years now. Even if there was some bad fighting from that, has things hashed out? Is everybody close? Do you guys spend Christmas together? I mean, how's the family?
Family's good. I'm not going to lie about that. Family's great. To say that we don't have no black sheep, I'm wrong.
Well, every family has that.
Yeah, very much. But the core of my father's kids, we all love each other. We all communicate. You know what I mean? We keep our kids together to grow up together like he had us together growing up, despite that we had different moms. You feel what I'm saying? And we stay tight-knitted. Even the new individual, not to say new, but even the siblings that came on after his death, you know what I mean? We try to keep it in tradition that we keep each other, in communication, and the kids together. We have some nicks and bumps in the road, and the media knows, you know what I mean? Let's just say, for example, my sister Erin. We love her. You know what I mean? I love my sister to death, but I'm not going to keep hiding behind that there's an issue. You feel what I'm saying? That the world doesn't know. She's probably the black sheep of the family. Do you want it to be that way? No. You know what I mean? It's just the turmoil that you see goes on when you lose a parent, and that parent is a high-profile figure. You feel what I mean? It's like you don't understand as far as what the children go to. So we go through a lot. Me being the oldest, I have able to sit here and kind of cope with that. But maybe you sit here and think to ourselves, maybe we needed therapy when we were that young. You know what I mean? Maybe we needed help. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? We're so subject as far as in us too, as being African-American, we look at it like, it's nothing that we do, other people do. Well, no, that's just a stigma. You know what I mean? Us, we needed therapy. You feel what I mean? We needed somebody to talk to and get it off. So
how old were you when your dad passed?
I was 10 years old. My father passed.
And you're the oldest.
And I'm the oldest. And
so that's tough for everybody.
Yeah, he was buried April 7th, 1995. I turned 11 April 23rd, 1995.
So was it your mom or your grandma's burden, or not? I shouldn't say burden. Who's the one who actually told you, hey, he's passed? Normally a mother would sit you down, talk to you, hey, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. But you said you were with your grandmother since age 2. So was it grandma that sat you down? And
No, it's turmoil. I was told.
Or did you see it on TV?
I was told 5 times that my father passed away. You know what I mean? And so the time that it did happen, I was numb to it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be real with you. I was actually, and I could tell you like it was yesterday, I was at his oldest brother, my uncle's house, and with his siblings, which are my older cousins, first cousins. And this was maybe the 3rd or 4th, or, not to exaggerate, 4, maybe 3 or 4 times. So this was maybe the 3rd or 4th time that he actually passed away. And it was actually, let's get in a car and go. And we were going to family to gather up at grandma's house. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the times they were at the hospital. So I stayed with my uncle. And about that time when they told me, it didn't have effect on me until I got with my grandmother who raised me. And I looked at a picture and everybody was gone. It was the end of the night and I finally cried, you know what I mean? And she just held me. But I was numb to it, but I heard from phone calls after phone calls after phone calls. It was either they pulled the plug or he didn't do this or he did this. And then the final day came, it was kind of like off. So you go from from my uncle's house to my mom's house. And in my mom's house, my sister's on the balcony trying to kill herself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we needed therapy. It was a lot of crazy stuff going on at that time. And
so what about, obviously your father passes, you hear a little bit of rumors of both ways. You hear that he was not doing well financially, and then you hear he was doing amazing financially. I don't see how he couldn't have been doing amazing financially. Was there any type of family? Because you guys were all underage, so clearly they couldn't leave probably anything to you personally. But was there anything like trust funds, or I mean, how did? Because he wasn't with his wife Tamika that long.
No, I mean, no. It was a
couple years.
Yeah. It was a quote, and I had to do with my sister's documentary and individual directors around there, and I tried to sit here and put in a documentary that Tamika came around when my father was sick. Not true. Tamika's been around for years. We transitioned from going to grandma's house to doing Thanksgiving to where we started going to my father's house for holidays, and Tamika was always there. And then I have a little brother, and then she's still around. And then,
so she was girlfriend first for years,
course,
and then wife.
Of course.
Okay.
Wife didn't come until his deathbed. Before he passed away.
Oh, okay.
And the speculation, back to the question that you had, is as a kid, how do we know? Because Daddy had the biggest house before he passed away. That's how we know. That's how we know Daddy was not doing bad with money. Daddy had the biggest. We like the other big house, but this motherfucker is oh my goodness, a mansion. This motherfucker is a maze. You feel what I'm saying? It's like I can go up the stairs 4 ways. You feel what I'm saying? Like, no, you know what I mean? We can, in that time in a transition, was very fond of memorying because it was our last days, so we were stuck with that, going to the mall. Tamika took us there, going over here, Discovery Zone. I don't know if a lot of people remember that. We were going everywhere, what I mean? He'll go to work 6 o'clock in the morning. He's back home about 6 o'clock in the day, and we're doing anything we wanted to do. We're going to go shop every day. We're going and running around the biggest house he has. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, my room's here when I come. My room's here when I come. Whose room is this? So when people ask that question, how does us as kids know? Shit, easy. This is the biggest house. The other house had a little pool, was cool, Woodland Hills, the Calabasas one, and here comes this big ass one, you know what I mean? So, that's why we didn't know.
So is Tamika still in that same house?
No, I mean, she's, of course, because it was, publicly known and we lived by other entertainers, you know what I mean? She went through a couple of houses since then, you know what I mean? But that house was sold, but no.
So you have a good relationship with her?
Very much, yes. I have a good
so everything's good to go?
Yes, very much, yes.
So she owns basically the library of Ruthless Records.
Very much.
So you're a performer and artist yourself.
Yes.
Why isn't Ruthless pumping out? I mean, I would think that would have some type of gold mine. I mean, because I've listened to some of your music. I mean, it's good music. I mean, it's not like
wow. Yeah,
she's not saying, like you think she doesn't want to do it because you're the son and she's got to hear the ridicule. Oh, you're only doing it because he's Eazy's son, not really listening to listen, he's actually talented.
She's very much supportive of what I do. All my life, I was a child that I wanted a Mercedes Benz when I graduated. I wanted a Cadillac truck when I got my license. It was always my grandparents and she stuck to the model as well, as far as in me to always appreciate the things that I wanted. I didn't grow up the typical silver spoon in my mouth. You feel what I'm saying? Which individuals, I mean, if you ask me, hey, I wish I did. Shit, it would bing, pop that motherfucker right in.
Well, how can you say that when you just said you were running up and down these big old stairs in Dad's biggest house? That sounds like silver spoon to me.
Let's go back as far as it was. I had a father who didn't have N.W.A. So I'm gonna give you real quick for why I said the silver spoon. I had a father who was my father before N.W.A. started, and then times came. So you're talking about an individual who's seen food stamps before in my life. You know what I'm saying? Who's seen at different families' houses, roaches and all that. Don't get me wrong. Grandma's house was paradise in Compton, California. It's like Beverly Hills. And then you come and you lose your father. Then you have all these individuals with their hands in a cookie jar. You feel what I'm saying? So it should be real. Trust fund was made on his deathbed. You feel what I'm saying?
So there was a trust fund
on his deathbed. We didn't want for nothing as a kid, just on a daily. You feel what I'm saying? But things weren't structured like that. You got to think back in 1995. You know what I mean? He was beyond his time with this generation, this music, this industry, and everything. It's just certain things like now. You know what I mean? Myself, people ask me as far as in taxes. What the fuck? I'm my mid-30s and I'm just learning about I better take care of taxes. It's some things that some individuals probably weren't hip to while you're making all this money at this time. You know what I mean? So things were crunched down to things at when he passed away. You know what I mean? And we could give that credit to my stepmother Tamika, who kept heed of the company and made sure the kids were taken care of, child support, Social Security, and we did have a trust fund.
So your father was paying child support even after he passed?
After he passed is when child support got put in. You know.
Oh, wow.
We got all these different moms.
He must have had a real bad lawyer. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, that just be the real. Like, it goes back to same question we had earlier. You got different, children, mothers. You know what I mean? Different other people got different ulterior motives. Especially when you look at it like, I was with him first. I was with him this long. I was with him here. I was with him here. How she get that? How she get that? So you got to understand what my stepmother went through. You feel what I'm saying? On top of lawyers, other entertainment moguls who actually felt they had a right to Ruthless Records. You feel what I'm saying? And we're fighting to take that. And then the people don't sit here and look up to it.
And how much money does that cost too? I mean, you're taking away from that.
Thank you. You know what I mean? What she had to go through while pregnant with my youngest, with the youngest sibling, my youngest sister. The baby of the whole entire bunch. And she's going through all of this. Now, people don't look back and say, well, what if a corporation would have got that? What if this lawyer over here or this old business partner would have got that? What if we would have done? You say Social Security, Eric didn't go to college, so that shit got cut off real short. You know what I'm saying? And we had to set it up to where my grandparents and my stepmother had something such for us where we got to a certain age and was done. So goes back to the silver spoon. I had kids at 17, so I guess my silver spoon got ate on by my little siblings. So, you know what I mean? And my own children themselves. So, that's my reference of that. And she did make sure that we were taken care of in some aspect. You feel what I mean? But, other than that, he was just daddy. You feel what I mean? He did what he was supposed to do. Maybe staying on some type of certain things that he should have as far as in having individual kids. Not to say take away from his love and everything he did for us, but that's my aspect of saying non-silver spoon, you know what I mean? Because we fought for the bare minimum of what we got. You know what I mean?
So let's talk a real quick question before I get into, I want to talk about you now, but let's one quick question because it's always something that's always been brought up every time you hear about Eazy and everything. Clearly you've heard the song No Vaseline by Ice Cube. Mm-hmm. Okay. Clearly that was something that one of the biggest diss of all time. Mm-hmm. Were you old enough to understand what was going on when that album came out or that record came out?
Yeah, I was.
What was life in Eazy house when that went popping?
It was more so just as far as in us as the kids, and it was like, dang, you know what I mean? Because why? It's one of the best players that left. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of the best players that left the group, and he was good. You know what I mean? If it wasn't my father, it was Ice Cube. You feel what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Who had the Jerry curl? Robin Ice Cube. Oh wow, some similarities here, huh? But that's how we live. We loved Ice Cube. Ice Cube was equivalent to the next best one on the group as far as for our father being our father. So when he left, it was like damn, you feel what I mean? And then he had this record where he's talking about everybody, and now it comes out to thinking that we feel like he's just jealous. He couldn't be daddy. He couldn't be my daddy, so he needed to leave to go, be that individual on his own, which it kind of opened our eyes and opened the group's eyes and opened entertainment eyes. He was just an artist that was probably better off by himself. You know what I mean? So that's how that was. As far as did it bring any turmoil in the house? Nah, we just kind of hurt the best player left. You feel me?
At any point later on, did your dad ever have a chuckle over it? Like, wow, man, Ice Cube really did kind of.
Oh, yeah, that was a chuckle compared to Dre.
There was a point he did make up with Ice Cube.
Very much.
So, did they ever have a laugh about it?
Yeah, we definitely. Even I've seen my father in living way laugh about it. Like, shit, it was pretty good, cool. The one that hurt was Dre. That one hurt. You know what I mean? That was different.
Dre meaning Dre leaving?
Dr. Dre leaving, yeah. That was different for my father itself and just for the overall, household, just knowing like, damn, that was a friend. Cube was like, the best player, felt it more because of the fact of just, how just great of an artist he is, an individual person, and he being one of our favorites as kids, and possibly my father's favorite writer. Dre, as far as it being a friend, hurt. That hurt. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about you and what you've came into now. I mean, obviously you're on the show Growing Up Hip Hop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're an artist in your own way.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever had, well, let me ask you this first. As an artist, the musician side, have you ever talked to stepmom Tamika and say, listen, why are we not pushing Lil Eazy, you know?
So back to that, I was telling you, I think I was touching up on this story, kind of veered off. But so I was a kid that didn't grow up with a silver spoon. They weren't going to allow me to have a silver spoon. It was more so work for what you want. And that's the aspect that we still live of and kind of fall on to this day. You know, so a lot of the things that I do in entertainment is because I don't want to sit here and me as a man want to sit here and get it done myself. Then I feel even to this day, which to share with the fans, that I sit here and go knock on a door and show the things that I can do in music finally myself. It's always an open door with my stepmother with Ruthless Records. And so to share that with you guys, you know, if needed be, if I wanted to, and you know what I mean, and stop trying to be big boy, do it myself, it was a dream to sit here and take it over there, and she's opened doors. So she has never held it away from it. It's, you know what I mean, it's more so just me being a man and wanting to sit here and have guidelines of my own, you know what I mean, until that reign can be given over and saying, hey, okay, you're doing what you do, then come on and run the company. You know what I mean? And who's to say we're not getting to there? You know what I mean?
Oh.
So,
Okay.
you know, as I say, he got some good ass motherfucking questions, but who's to say it's not getting to there? You know what I mean? I just, you know what I mean, kind of want to just keep going and work in progress, you know what I'm saying? And there we go. Basically, we're going to manifest it. You know what I mean? It'd be a time to where I'm running Ruthless Records.
So let's talk Growing Up Hip Hop.
Yes.
You are clearly a great addition in the later seasons.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How does this come upon? How does this happen? How does it fall on your lap?
Wow. Okay. Good one. So speaking on the things that I was going through with my sisters and our journey to possibly open my doors to investigating some things with them on my father's death, we did a pilot called Growing Up the Right Way, which was all the siblings of my father on our own TV show. And it was just things that we go through and do. So we did a pilot with E1. E1 owns Growing Up Hip Hop. So doing the pilot with them, they fell in love with an individual. And, you know what I mean? Our pilot only got picked up for 4 episodes, and we were searching for 10. So in transition was taking myself and introducing me on Growing Up Hip Hop. So that's how that actually happened.
So, well, hold on. Now you got me intrigued here with the other.
Yes.
So you got 4 episodes. You got 4 episodes of your own family situation.
Yes.
How does that get you? That sounds really, really interesting to me.
Tell me about it, man. See, look at
Instead of having you be just a character that fits into a new, it's not a new show, but into an older show, you could be the star of your own show. What happens?
He's manifesting it. So it's soon to come. It's still in the works.
Oh, so it is still in the works.
It's definitely still on the table. It's interested about a couple of individuals now that the kids have actually got older and we kind of venture off, have more things going on for ourselves. You know what I mean? It's just, and of course you guys see the turmoil and the drama going on. So it would be good for everybody to sit here and see how the kids of Eazy E grow up and the things that we sit here and deal with it with each other. So
it's got to be better than the Bradshaw show.
Yeah, brought up the right way, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I became on Growing Up Hip Hop. It was more so, they kind of like what they seen and want to transition and taking Eric over here, and we just gonna sit here and put it into the universe that a runoff will be of myself with my siblings, my father's kids, and our own show called Growing Up the Right Way.
So let's talk a little bit about the Growing Up Hip Hop. You're on there. Uh-huh. Obviously, you're there with JoJo Simmons, Vanessa,
yes, sir.
Angela.
Yes, sir.
You were on there during the season with Little Romeo and Master P.
Mm-hmm, yes.
I mean, there's a huge list of talented people there. Little Bow Wow.
Little Twist. Boogie,
Little Twist.
Dame Dash's son, Dame Dash herself.
Egypt, Peppa.
Peppa's daughter, Tretch's daughter. Tretch and Egypt, and Peppa's daughter, which is Egypt. Her individual fiance, Sam. So yeah, we got a good little roster. We picked up Stevie J this year, Stevie J's kids. We also picked up Uncle Luke from 2 Live Crew, his daughter.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So they're on this season, and Stevie J's son as well. So kind of just growing and keeping it the.
Are you still taping that now, or is it in editing?
We just finished last week. Yes, as today. We just finished last week. We aired May 13th. of this year. You know what I mean? And that'll be season 6, and there's some exciting things that's going on. Like, of course, with the new addition of individuals we have, because Romeo and Master P are no longer with us on the show. You know,
So that was real heat.
very much. It definitely was real heat.
So Romeo and Angela had a love breakup, and it was real heat, and left.
I wouldn't say they had a love breakup. I would say they had a TV fling that got a little tense in real life, and it kind of just opened up, and I was stuck in the middle of kind of mending those, respectful families together to stop what they were doing, and it was just something that couldn't go on.
Well, that's what my next question is going to be. Is wow, you seem like on that show, even though you're one of my favorites on the show.
I appreciate it, brother.
But you are like the mediator of everybody's problem. You're the Dr. Phil of the show.
I'm the OG. Yeah.
I mean, how does that happen? They bring you on instead of having a great show with you and your siblings. Now you're here. You're Dr. Phil. I mean, you're in there with Egypt and Sam. You're in there with JoJo arguing. Yeah. I mean,
JoJo and Romeo.
Romeo, and I mean,
it comes down to the fact that
everybody respects you, though.
Yeah, very much. JoJo's my bro, my little bro. Definitely respects me. Master P respects my legacy. Knew my father, respects me. His son respects me as a big bro. So I was stuck in a pickle because of the fact that I had just the respect and just relationships with everybody in that situation. And they took it to a point in time where Master P and Romeo wanted to talk to me to get them to sit down and see kind of eye to eye what they were feeling. So I was stuck in a bad place. If you guys look at season 5. And again, that was because of the fact that I'm the oldest of the kids and more respected on all levels with each and every one of them. So therefore, I was played the mediator, which has kind of been my kind of role this time out, through my time being on Growing Up Hip Hop, which I enjoy because, we don't very much need to fight. We need to be sitting here figuring out how we're going to have more empires from the empires that we came from, and trying to give back to a positive of the legacy that we live, you feel what I'm saying, or came from. So that's just me trying to keep the peace.
Sounds like it's going to be another exciting season. I love it. Last season was great too. I love the way Brianna and Little Twist hosted the show, and they kind of, and then you got the whole Sam Egypt and
confusion.
It's awesome.
Yes.
It's awesome.
So tune in May 13th.
I'm going to put you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's going to be some more drama for you. It's going to
May 13th.
May 13th. Yes.
Is there one little question before we go to Facebook Live?
Go ahead.
Is there anybody on the show, if you're the boss, you're the owner, blah, 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 that you're just like, I mean, I know there's people that are good TV, but is there anybody on there like, son of a bitch, get this guy out of here. I can't stand to be around him.
Put me on the spot. Oh, wow. Anybody on the show that just needs to be out of there? I kind of get along with everybody. You know what I mean? And everybody's, is a good fit and get a knit in their own. Nobody's too overly, you feel what I'm saying, egotistical, which no need to be. So, I mean, really, no. Nobody on the show that I'd be like, just come on, got to kick it up out of here. Not really. Thursday nights on WeTV.
Well, I appreciate this, and I appreciate you doing this interview.
Man, brother, I appreciate you.
I really enjoyed this time with you. We're going to cut the camera, but then we're going to turn it back on to go on Facebook Live. But thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of the Real Deal Network.
Like you, you was about to get ready to make me cry, but as far as the questions, there was. Oh man, you hit some good points.
We'll do that with the drinking games later.